Appendix 6. Fear. The Bible has injunctions against fear almost 80 times directly. Machiavelli's dictum is often taken massively out of context. It is better to be feared than loved. The complete context is that a leader should seek to be both feared and loved. But if you have to choose one alone, choose fear. Additional context is that fear alone is not a long-term strategy for success. Machiavelli wrote this while in exile from the city-state of Florence. The 16th century Italian city-states were a fascinating time and place. While at the center of the Renaissance, being both economically and culturally productive, conflict was rife, complete with political intrigue, subterfuge, assassination, an overall struggle for power. Jordan B. Peterson has interpreted the biblical verse of "the meek shall inherit the earth" in an interesting way that is consistent with Machiavelli's advice. In his interpretation, he defines meek as he who keeps his sword sheathed. Digging another level deeper into this, what this means is that the person bearing the sword knows how to use it and is perfectly capable of doing terrible things with it, but chooses not to. This person who is capable of terrible deeds and chooses to instead do good things will be both loved and feared. Fear should not be the dominant emotion that a leader elicits when they walk into a room, or even worse, at the mention of their name. When this is the case, love will be virtually impossible. Real courage to face the task at hand will be difficult. In a fear-based motivation, the fear of the leader needs to be greater than the fear of the difficulty of the task at hand. In World War II, the Soviets used this approach to motivate frontline troops. If they did not follow orders or carry out the advances, they were shot by their own leaders behind the lines. This was and continues to be generally a major motivational tactic in use by communist regimes, along with brainwashing people regarding the glorious nature of their leader. I speak from personal experience in having spent a large part of my formative years under the spell of fear-based motivation. It was only in my late 20s or early 30s I was able to finally shake that fear. I am convinced that mine and the person's efficiency and creativity are seriously impaired when their mental state is grounded in a state of fear. Even the approach within Christianity is bifurcated in this regard. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, versus God loves all his children. It is again a question of balance. The fully integrated way of living a Christian life is to simultaneously be fearful of the wrath of God, while the dominant spiritual emotional state is one of gratitude for God's creation and gifts, a love of the Creator, and following his injunction to fear not, for the Lord thy God is with thee. A leader should be able to inspire their people without fear, while at the same time holding them accountable and being able to fire them when needed, if that's what it takes. In smaller organizations, the firing should not be delegated. You do the dirty work. Delegating this to others will erode respect. Once the organization gets to over 40 to 60 people, then delegation makes sense, but up to 40, the leader should be the one to do the dirty work. This is for two reasons. One, people will see that you are willing to share the hardship, and make no mistake, for most emotionally healthy people, firing someone is a hardship. It is draining and hard to do well. People will see that you can take the sword out when you need to. You're not a pushover. This also connects to leading by example. As leaders, we should not be role modeling a fear-dominated state. It will be contagious, and the fear will not be directed to you, but to outside forces. A self-fulfilling prophecy of defeat will set in when consumed by fear. We need to be courageous, choosing to act, choosing to be optimistic in the face of fear, and role model this behavior. At times, a leader will be greatly fearful of what the future holds. These are times when prayer and meditation can help. Sometimes it will mean getting to the workplace, parking your car, and taking a minute to get dialed in. A favorite series of books that I started reading in the 1990s and have reread multiple times since is the original 6 in the Dune series by Frank Herbert. One theme throughout the books is the maximization of human potential, obviously inspiring the overall worldview of this work. Another is around controlling one's fear, and the Bene Gesserit litany against fear appears multiple times throughout the works. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. I have found 3 things that have helped me to handle fear and not let it dominate. 1. Stoic meditation. 2. Prayer. 3. Worst case analysis. Number 1 and 2 of these practices have elements of gratitude that whatever is happening is meant to be and is a gift. Do your best, and even if the worst happens, it will not be so bad when taken to its fullest extent. The Stoics have an aphorism, amor fati, love your fate. Embrace your fate. This helps to embrace what is happening, but does not suggest complacency. The third is more about getting out of a catastrophizing thought loop. Almost always, when you look at the worst thing that will happen, it is really not that bad, and then you go back to 1 and 2. I do not regret having lived with fear for so long. Having gone through that journey was a gift. I have a deeper insight into fear, and am grateful for having had that experience, and am no longer resentful about the source of that fear. I'm a better leader for it.